Hi, are you preparing for IPMAT Indore in 2024? Then this video is for you. I'm Kartik and we're going to talk about how to prepare for the Indore exam in 2024 in just about 5 months, that is before your board exams. So, I'm shooting this video somewhere around the first half of August. So, I'm going to assume the second half of August, September, October, November, December, and let's say first half of January, if you stretch, is available for us. So, we're going to discuss about the study plan for the next 5 months that you should adopt to do well in your Indore exam in 2024. Now, before we actually begin, let's have a quick look at the sections that are present in the IPMAT Indore. So, if you see, there are 3 sections there: the QA short answer section, the QA multiple choice questions, and the VA section or the verbal ability. Now, each of these sections, the QA short answer has 15 questions, MCQ has 30, verbal has 45. So, roughly about 45 questions for quant and 45 questions for verbal. Each of these 3 sections have individual time limits of 40 minutes within which you'll have to finish attempting these sections. Now, if you talk about strictly IPMAT exams 2023 cutoffs, okay, these are the cutoffs in marks. Okay, essay was only at 12 marks, MCQ was at 39 marks, whereas verbal ability went as high as 125 marks. Now, if these marks we roughly convert into number of questions, this is what it looks like. In essay, even if you attempt 5 out of those 15, you should be clearing the cutoff. In the MCQ section, if you attempt around 10 to 11 questions, that should be enough for us to clear the cutoff. Whereas in verbal, out of 45, we'll have to attempt a bare minimum of 30 questions. It's good if you attempt upwards of 35, 40 questions, okay, to be able to clear the cutoff. So, it's quite obvious that verbal seems easy with the students, whereas the challenge is with the 2 sections of quant. Now, so what to do just before board exam so that we are in tune with the prep for IPMAT 2024. Now, remember that the big challenge here is to not study for IPMAT 2024 only, but to balance your board studies as well as IPMAT 2024 studies. So, what's our goal? So, first thing that you have to understand is that we'll have to divide this entire thing. If we want to do well at IPMAT 2024, we'll have to divide the entire thing into smaller milestones, and each milestone will have to be further divided into smaller tasks, and then we just worry about each task, what you have to do day after day, week after week, month after month. Okay, so I'm going to divide this entire goal of doing well at IPMAT 2024 into 2 parts. First is just before board exam. So from now on, let's say till January 10ish, 15ish, and then after your board exams till the actual exam of IPMAT 2024. So first is goal, which is the before board exams, what you should do. Obviously, you have to finish the entire syllabus. You cannot leave anything that you have not seen at all till after the boards. Entire syllabus of IPMAT, verbal and quant, all the topics, simple, right from ranging from simple to the difficult topics, have to be done once before you go on a boards break. Before you completely switch to your board studies, you will have to do these chapters. And very important, you start taking mocks. You start taking mocks, by which I mean you just acclimatize yourself with mocks. What does it mean? We will talk in detail in a little while. Okay. Our second goal is after board exams, what is to be done. So, after board exams, this is going to be the last leg of this entire journey of IPMAT preparation. So, this is where we are going to do the last mile prep. Again, what points are going to be covered, we are going to talk in a while now. So, the first goal of completing the syllabus coverage before board exams. How do we do that? So, if you see, this is the month-wise split and of topics to be done simultaneously from quant and verbal. Okay. So, as I told you, I'm shooting this somewhere in the first half of August. So, you have still 15 more days left in the second half of August. First and the foremost thing, start with the basics of math and English. Now, this basics, I mean as basics as probably doing your 10th standard math and English textbooks again. Okay, 15 days for doing this entire 10th standard textbook should be enough for you. I am assuming you don't know anything about IPMAT Indore, and we're going to start from there. Okay, so in that 15 days, if you just quickly go through what you've already done in your 10th standard, okay, for math and English both. Okay, so for math, the topics that you've done in your 10th standard, like algebra, linear equations, simultaneous equations, like percentage, profit loss, mixtures and allegations like simple interest, compound interest, all of these in arithmetic. Then there are geometry topics. All of these topics are same in IPMAT Indore. When it comes to verbal, it's the same vocab, the same grammar, the same reading comprehensions. Okay, so just quickly go through your textbooks in these 15 days. Moving on to the month of September. In that entire month of September, I think you should start with the basics of math, which is in the chapters of numbers and algebra. By numbers, I mean that you should cover topics of HCF, LCM, properties of numbers, indices, surds, logarithms, and all of these topics. By algebra, I mean you should cover topics of linear equations, quadratic equations, some bit of higher order equations also. Okay, now this is fairly heavy in terms of the math. So therefore, I think that you should do a comparatively easy topic of verbal here, which is vocab. Extremely important. Now, vocab is something that cannot be done in a week or in a day or in a month. Okay, you cannot sit for 8 hours straight, day after day after day, and finish your vocab and then not touch vocab for the next 3-4 months. Everything is going to evaporate. Okay, so once you start doing vocab, okay, have an habit of building that as a part of your daily schedule. Keep doing vocab for at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes, even half an hour. Okay, every single day is more important. Even if you do vocab for 15 minutes, you should be good. Important is that you do it every day once you start doing it. Okay, so for vocab, obviously you will have to do synonyms, antonyms, the usage of the words, the root words, and all of that around a particular word. Okay, so especially phrasal verbs are a big favorite amongst IPMAT Indore exam setters. Okay, so do those very, very properly. So that's the agenda for the month of September. Moving on to October, I think you should go to the next topic of arithmetic. Arithmetic is percentages, profit loss, simple compound interest, time, speed, distance, time and work, mixtures, allocations, and all of these topics taken together. Fairly easy. I don't think they are very, very heavy or very difficult topics. So at the same time, you can do grammar from the verbal part. Okay, so grammar, I don't think there is anything new that you may not have done till your 10th or 11th grade that is going to be asked in IPMAT Indore. So all the topics that you've done, just revise them properly and keep solving the IPMAT Indore level questions, or rather MCQ type of questions. You may not have seen a lot of MCQs during your school days or in your textbooks. Okay, this is where this exam is going to be different. Okay, so keep solving those kind of questions from these topics of grammar. Moving on to the month of November, once you finish arithmetic, then get on to geometry. Geometry, I think, is simple in a way, barring 1 or 2 topics. So geometry, starting with lines, angles, triangles, polygons, circles, and all of that. Not many questions are asked from geometry in IPMAT Indore if I look at the last 3-4 years pattern. But something like a mensuration, something like coordinate geometry, trigonometry are very, very frequently occurring topics. Okay, so you really need to do these topics well. With geometry, I think you should do reading comprehension. Now, reading comprehension in IPMAT Indore is a combination of easy as well as difficult passages. All passages obviously are not going to be easy. Neither are all going to be very, very difficult. They are a mix, but I think they are tending more towards easy to moderate. Okay, so, and in each of these passages, you will be asked questions on grammar, on vocabulary, and all of these. So they pick up difficult words from the passage, and they'll probably ask you a synonym for it, an antonym for it, and all of that. So you'll have to practice reading comprehension also in the style of the questions that are asked in the exam. Finally, moving on to the last month, you will do topics on modern maths. Now, modern maths is something that we think about like topics of set theory, Venn diagram, permutation, combination, and probability. Okay, now these are fairly tricky topics. I don't think, again, they are very heavy on our heads, but they are tricky. Yes, you don't know what question can do to you. You will feel confident that you've done the question correctly in PNC and probability, but you will end up wrong. So they are tricky. So you'll have to be very concentrated and very focused on these topics. So at the same time, you can do easier topics of verbal, which is verbal reasoning. Okay, that's again a very important area in verbal that is tested in IPMAT Indore. Verbal reasoning covers topics like parajumbles, covers topics like statement assumption, statement conclusion, and all of these things. Okay, so by the end of December, or let's say if you have some buffer with your Diwali break or something like that, I think you should finish this entire round of syllabus latest by 10th Jan or 15th Jan. Post that, I strongly recommend to not even touch IPMAT Indore and focus completely on boards. Okay. If you are an academically good student and you're doing your board studies also regularly, then you may, on and off just do some topics during the board's break, but not very focused on IPMAT Indore. Why am I asking you to do some topics? So that you just don't lose touch when you resume your IPMAT Indore studies after your board exams. Now, very important, how do you do each of these topics? The first and the foremost is that you'll have to learn the concepts under each of these topics. Okay, now these concepts, lot of videos are available on YouTube. If you just have a simple search on concepts of percentages, for example, or concepts of profit and loss, you'll be able to find that. If you are an IMS student, you very well know where to find these concept videos on your My IMS portal. Okay, so that is the first thing, that you learn the concepts that are present in a particular topic. Next is you understand these concepts, preferably with the help of a mentor. Okay, so if you are going, for some kind of coaching, with the help of the mentor, understand each of these concepts, understand how to apply these concepts. Most of the concepts you will have seen earlier, but the important part is to know the application of each of these. So if you are an IMS student, when you're attending lectures, either offline or online, this is the exact thing that you are doing. If you are not an IMS student, or if you're not going to any coaching classes, I think you'll have to start solving these kind of questions and keep getting help wherever you're getting stuck. Okay, that's the second step. Third is, obviously, once you understand how to apply a particular concept, you'll have to practice questions on that. That's exactly what I meant when I said that in verbal also, you have to practice IPMAT Indore level questions or IPMAT Indore styled questions. Okay, so practicing questions is going to be the key. Okay, so after every topic that you do, for example, if you do a percentages topic, do at least 50 questions on percentages. A profit loss, do at least 50 questions on profit loss, to be sure that you not only seen all varieties under profit loss, but you also understood and you've absorbed the variety or the different type of questions that can be asked under that particular topic. Okay, again, if you are an IMS student, you will have these practice questions inbuilt in your books, so you just need to go through, solve them, and then refer to the video solutions. And the fourth, last step is take chapter-wise tests and keep benchmarking yourself. So if you see, what have we done? We've divided this entire study plan into goals. First, pre and post boards. Within those goals, we divided into milestones of these months. Okay, within these monthly milestones also, we divided everything into tasks. So, numbers and algebra is a milestone, but within numbers and algebra, HCF, LCM or surge indices will be a task. At the end of each task, take a chapter-wise test. Take a test of properties of numbers. Take a test of HCF and LCM, and understand whether you have imbibed, whether you have absorbed the topic, and whether you are able to apply that topic. So these tests are going to be the benchmarking test for you to understand whether you are doing well, whether you've understood the topic or you've not understood at all. Okay, so for every topic, I want you to do these 4 steps. Remember that you have to finish this, by December, latest by 10th or 15th of January. Moving on to the next goal before boards is acclimatizing yourself with mocks. Okay, now what does this acclimatization mean and why do you need to do it? Now, very important, the first thing that I need to understand when you're doing mocks is to build physical and mental endurance. Now, today's age and time, it's a task to even sit at one place continuously for 2 hours. So physical endurance is much. More importantly, mental endurance is important to not be tired for the full 2 hours. Okay, till the 120th minute, your mind cannot afford to be tired. It has to be at top of its game, so that even in the last minute, you are able to focus and you are able to do your questions well. Okay. Repeated solving of mocks after mocks after mocks will ensure that your mind is getting used to be alert for 120 minutes, and hence it does not result into any kind of mental fatigue. More often than not, when I hear from students, I understand that by the end, when they do the third section, they are tired. So even if the third section is easy, they end up messing the easier questions also. Very important third step, time management. When you do mocks, you understand how do you manage your time. Okay, short answers only 15 questions but has 40 minutes. MCQ 30 questions has 40 minutes. Verbal ability 45 questions still has 40 minutes. So if you understand, you will have to calibrate yourself how to best utilize my 40 minutes for 15 questions, how to best utilize my 40 minutes for 30 questions, and the same 40 minutes for 45 questions. So you know that you'll have to change gears when you shift from essay to MCQ, when you shift from MCQ to verbal ability. This will require practice. It will not come directly on the day. Okay, so time management is of essence. Finally, acquaint yourself with the type and level of difficulty of the questions. Okay, that's very, very important. What kind of questions are asked and what's the level of difficulty that a particular question or the test can go to in IPMAT Indore is a very, very important takeaway. Last and my favorite step, why should you take mocks, is to experiment. Okay, a lot of students have different strategies that work for them. Okay, some students may feel like they would want to do all the easy questions first and keep all the maybe moderate and difficulty questions at the end. Some students feel that if I go in an order, I'll be able to do well, so do that. Some students think like if I should do all the difficult ones earlier because I'm fresh and I'll be able to do better. Easier ones I'll anyway be able to do at the end, so I should do them at the end. Whatever works for you, you should do it. Point is, you will not know what works for you unless you experiment. So do these experiments in the first few tests. Sometimes do all the easier ones first. Sometimes do all the difficult ones first. Sometimes just maybe one or two questions you should do calculated guesses and see if that is working out or not. So try all kind of things that you can think of in these mocks. Only after you've tried it enough number of times, you will know what works for you specifically and what does not work for you. That will give you an understanding of you as a test taker. So these are the most important takeaways of why should you start taking your mocks early. Now, moving on to how should you take these mocks. Okay, so in the monthly schedule that we had made, the milestones, I think the moment you finish the numbers algebra module, the vocabulary module, I think you can start taking some very basic tests. Now remember, for the purpose of the first few tests, the purpose is not that you are able to attempt the paper completely or you know every single thing that is asked in the paper. The purpose is, again, as I told you, to sit for 120 minutes, to not be tired for 120 minutes. Even if you achieve these two in the first few mocks, you should be happy with yourself. Okay, don't fret about I could not get so many questions. Don't fret about I have not done this topic, therefore I'll not be able to attempt. Just try whatever whatever you are seeing. Nothing in the paper that you will see is something that you've not seen before. Okay, everything is from your 10th standard, 11th standard at the max. Okay, so general BBA mocks in the month of October. After you finish that in the September, general BBA mocks you should do 2 to 3 in the month of October. Once you finish the two modules, I think you can do 2 or 3, 1 or 2 more BBA mocks and start Indore mocks, actual IPMAT Indore mocks. Okay, and finally, once you finish the 3 modules, you should take 1 or 2 more mocks in the month of December. So by the time that you reach December, by the time that you are able to finish your syllabus, you should have taken on a greater side, on a positive side, 4 Indore mocks and at least 4 to 5 general BBA mocks. Now, general BBA mocks, the purpose is only to strictly acclimatize, build your speed, do your experiments, understand your time management and everything. Okay, so I think this is what you should do till the time you go on your boards break. Finish the entire syllabus and take these many mocks in the order that we have discussed. Moving on to our second part of the goal, which is after your board. So after you come back of the board exams, so if you are somebody who really wants to do well in board but has not started yet, I will suggest that you completely go off IPMAT Indore and focus completely on boards, which means it's going to be a good 2 months break before you resume your IPMAT Indore study. So once you do that, once you resume, first and the foremost, revise the entire syllabus that you've done in the initial 3 months or 4 months. Okay, Now, then very important, solve IPMAT Indore level questions only. At that point of time, once you revise the syllabus, only solve the difficult questions. Then don't keep solving any random questions, any random difficulty. That time you should focus for the last mile for the exact Indore level questions. Okay, once you do that, keep doing that. You should start writing 2 mocks every week. So ideally keep a gap of 2 days or 3 days in between mocks. Once you do a mock, very important, then even doing the mock is analyzing the mock. Okay, what should you analyze in every mock? You should identify your strong and weak areas. Even within quant, even within arithmetic, you should be able to tell that I am doing good with percentages, but I am not really doing well with, say, SI or CI. Or I am doing with direct vocab questions, I am doing well, but I cannot do indirect questions asked in the RC. That level of insight you should be able to develop. Once you identify your weak and strong areas, you should start working on your weak areas. Very importantly, not compromising on your strong areas. Maintain your strong areas and keep working on your weak areas. Okay, so this is what you need to do in the last maybe 60 odd days, 45 to 60 odd days that you will get after your board exams. And very important, after every mock, you should take a mock where you are able to benchmark yourself nationally, because that is actually where the competition is. So you should ideally do test series of some particular institute which has students taking tests across the country, students taking tests from science, arts, commerce, all backgrounds, because all of this is your actual competition. So benchmarking yourself nationally, I think, is very, very important for a reality check of where we stand with respect to everybody else. Okay, so this part is basically after your board exams. So yes, finally, good luck and do really, really well for IPMAT Indore 2024.